It's McMulliteracy, week 7. I'm Miss McMullen, and today we're discussing resilience, empathy, and integrity. What do they mean? Where do the words come from? Why are they important? Find out. We're starting with a task today, so I'm going to put some sentences on the screen. You are going to define this week's words based on those sentences. So you're going to create your own definition for integrity, for empathy, and for resilience. We're going to see who can get the closest definition to the correct one. We've got another task. Now that you're starting to get an idea of what each of these words mean because you've seen them in the context in sentences, and that is an important part of reading, isn't it? Like, you don't know a word, you come across it, you define it just based on the context. So you're already doing that. Now that you've got a good idea of that, I'm going to introduce you to the original words that these were formed from. So some of them are Latin and one of them is Greek. I'm going to tell you the definitions and you're going to decide based on those definitions that you've come up with which word is which. It'll make more sense when I'm doing it. Just follow. So first of all, one of these words comes from the Greek words for in feeling. In feeling. Do you think that that is integrity? Do you think it's empathy? Or do you think it's resilience? The second word comes from the Latin for bounce back or strike back or recoil. Do you think that that is integrity? Do you think it's empathy? Or do you think that it's resilience? And finally, one of these words comes from the Latin for intact, so whole. Do you think that that is integrity? Do you think that it is empathy? Or do you think that it could be resilience? Let's start with integrity. Now, integrity is the act of being honest and having strong moral principles, right? Morals as in, so there are laws where you're told what you can and cannot do, but your morals are like a different set. They're like formed within you for what you believe is right and wrong, okay? Like, and it comes from your family, from your friends, from your school, from your religion. It's your set of things that you believe are right or wrong. So integrity is being honest and sticking to those morals. Now, we're going to look back at the Latin. Now, the word integer is the Latin word for intact. Now, you're getting a 2 for 1 here because integer is still used in the English language. So in Latin, it means intact, and it still sort of means that in maths. So an integer is a whole number. It's not a fraction, it's a full number. 1, 2, 3, all integers, right? Just a normal whole number. So how does this relate to integrity? Because it comes from the same place. It's both about integer, both about being intact. So to have integrity, your moral beliefs are intact no matter what. So no matter what happens, you are always going to follow what you believe is right. You're not going to suddenly change your mind when nobody's looking. So for example, if you believe that stealing is wrong, but then the person at the checkout at the shop gives you too much money in change, if you have integrity, you're going to go back and give that money back because it's according to your morals that you believe that that is right. Resilience. Last week I said that communication was the most important of all of the soft skills, but there's no point being good at anything if you've got no resilience, because to have resilience is to be able to bounce back when something bad happens. If you are the greatest musician in the world, better than anyone at all, right, there's still going to be an occasion where you play the wrong note. If you have no resilience, the first time that you play that wrong note, you're never going to play again because you're going to be devastated. You can't bounce back from it. And to be honest, you're never going to become the greatest player in the world because there's going to be lots of bad notes when you start learning music. So in all areas of life, you need resilience, and all of you have resilience. You've all failed in life, everybody has, and you've gotten through it. But some people are far more resilient than others. Some people are reluctant to keep trying at anything because they're scared of failure. But failure is the thing that makes us better at everything. It's the only way to improve. Gotta fail. So to be resilient is to be able to bounce back after you've failed. So empathy. Now, empathy sounds a lot like a word that you're probably much more familiar with, sympathy. If something bad happens to somebody, you might be filled with a sense of sympathy. You might feel sympathy towards them. Now, sympathy is an expression of your pity or the negative emotions that you feel as a result of the fact that somebody else is feeling negative emotions. You see them unhappy, that makes you unhappy. Now, empathy is a step further than that. Now, sympathy, if we go back to the Greek, means with feeling. So you have feelings, you're with them. But empathy means in feeling. So you're placing yourself in the same position as them. You are fully engaging with the emotions. You're sharing and adopting the emotions that they have. So you see, it's a much more intense feeling than sympathy. Sympathy is feeling sorry for somebody. Empathy is sharing the emotions with them. Now, why would we need these skills in school, in jobs, in life? Well, integrity is pretty obvious. So your teachers want to know that they can trust you when they're not in the room. Your boss wants to know the same thing. Family members want to know the same thing. People like to know that you will stick by your morals, right? Because otherwise you might be up to anything at any point, and that scares people. So integrity is fairly obvious. Resilience, well, of course, you're not going to be much use to yourself or anybody if you can't ever bounce back from things. And that's not to say that it's not really difficult sometimes when you have set yourself up to be excited for something that you have tried really hard, and sometimes it still doesn't work out. And that happens to everybody. And sometimes it's the failures that really affect us the most. In fact, it is the failures that really affect us the most that often also help us the most. But it's also understandable to struggle through those times. So it's not to say that by finding things difficult, there's something wrong with that. But resilience is just building up your ability to deal with it when that happens. And it's just really important, more so for your own well-being than anything else, that you learn to do that. And empathy, why is it important to be able to put yourself in the position that other people are in and experience their emotions in a similar way? Well, it just makes you a better friend, colleague, peer. You can understand the world in a much more thorough way if you are able to put yourself in the position of other people and consider how they see it. And now I would like you to create a definition and a dual code. So definition, I know you did this at the start, but obviously you weren't as familiar with the words then. Now I would like you to come up with a really good definition for each of these words and write it down next to the word. I would also like you to come up with a dual code. Now you remember a dual code is just a little symbol that is really easy to draw that reminds you of that word. So it's personal to you. It's something that you connect with the word that we have talked about today. So the three words that I would like you to find a definition and a dual code for are integrity, empathy, and resilience. And now we are going to spell them. So I'm going to take the words off, and I would like you to spell integrity. And resilience. And empathy. And I'll put them back up now. How did you find that? Personally, I find resilience the hardest one. It's the L. I always think there should be more. And we'll try again. So integrity, resilience, and empathy. And this is a really good opportunity to try out all 3 of these skills. If you haven't got it right, there's no point lying about it. Have some integrity and be honest about the fact that you need to keep working. It may be stressful if you are getting them wrong, but it's important to have resilience if you want to get any better. And if you see that somebody else is struggling, have some empathy and be kind and know that when they keep trying that they will get there. So with that, we will spell them a 3rd and final time. So integrity, resilience, and empathy. Incredible. And can you make sure that the version of the word that you've placed next to your definition is spelled correctly for all 3 of them? And with that, I will see you next week. Thank you very much for spending time with me. Goodbye. Thank you for joining us for another week on McMulliteracy. If you enjoy starting with a word and then ending up in a rambling journey to who knows where, then I suggest that you hit like and subscribe. Also, if you just want to be a pal, like and subscribe. See you next week.